You gotta hear, so you can hear when she starts.
Okay, it's 7:30, so you tell me when. We're waiting for Mary to do that?
You can call to order.
Okay. Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the August 13th, 2021 Old Bridge Township Council meeting. Please rise for a pledge of allegiance. Please remain standing for a moment of silence and for our prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As customary in this chamber, we stand for a moment to remember those who are protecting our freedoms, both here and abroad, for our first responders, and for those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. A moment of silence, please. Mr. Pescetti, our prayer, please.
Dear Lord, bless thy servants in the ministry of public affairs who serve thee in the Zoom meeting. Give us quiet minds and hearts that we may hear your voice. Help us to know when to speak, when to be silent. Please give us the strength to oppose the wrong and uphold the right, and grant us a good conscience at peace with you and with one another. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, everyone. Please be seated.
Ms. Brown? Absent Mr. De Palma?
Here.
Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Present.
Mr. Merwin?
Here.
Mr. Murphy?
Here.
Mr. Pescetti?
Here.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Here.
Ms. Walker?
Here.
President Sohor?
Here.
We have 8 present. This meeting is being held in conformance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice has been given to the newspaper and notice the meeting has been posted in public places. Next open public meeting of the council will be held on August 10th, 2021 at 7:30 p.m.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here this evening. The first thing that we'll do is presentations, and I would like to turn this over to our engineer, Ms. Nicole Shapiro. Good evening, Nicole. How are you tonight?
Thank you, Council President, Council. We have two presentations that are going to be given by our Township Planner, Ms. Savant, tonight. And I think it's important to note that the first presentation is for a developer or redevelopment area along the Route 9 corridor. The second redevelopment plan that she's going to bring forward to you tonight, or a snippet of it, is for 200 Lawrence Parkway. I think it's important. Ms. Savant has been working on this redevelopment plan, and during her time, she has gotten several phone calls from, the public and from people that are interested to gather some more information. Certainly, there was a resolution that was in front of council to direct Ms. Savant to prepare the redevelopment plan, and I think that stirred a curiosity with the public. So in addition to updating the council tonight, this presentation would be available for the public to either view tonight or to view in the future. So I'm going to turn over to Ms. Savant tonight for the presentation. For first presentation on the status of the redevelopment plan for the designated redevelopment area located close to the intersection of Jake Brown Road and US Highway 9 and White Oak Lane and Jake Brown Road. And then she's going to continue on to the presentation on the progress of the redevelopment plan for 200 Lawrence Parkway, which is the former senior center property.
Thank you, Nicole. Good evening, Chairwoman. Good evening, council members. I'll start with the redevelopment plan for Jake Brown Road, US Highway 9, and Jake Brown Road and White Oak Lane first. So, as you may recall, in April of 2021, the council designated this area, which is along the intersection of Jake Brown Road and Highway 9 and intersection of White Oak Lane and Jake Brown Road, containing 16 parcels as an area, designated it as an area in need of redevelopment. Now, in the redevelopment process, there are multiple steps, but the next obvious step would be to create a redevelopment plan for the area, which would then become the zoning. Obviously, there are other critical elements such as the redevelopers agreement, the pilot that will be worked on later. But I have been working on this redevelopment plan with Nicole for the past couple of months, and I thought this would be a great idea to give an update of where I am. And plus, when I come in front of you with the plan, it is a comprehensive document. I just wanted to share the ideology or the thought process behind creating these new districts, or what is allowed in these districts. So a little bit of a recap. What you see on the screen is the redevelopment area comprising of 16 parcels. As I mentioned before, it's right at the intersection of Jake Brown Road and Route 9. This is the parcel information, again, containing 16 lots, and you might see in the second table, the parcels are now distributed among 5 different zones, mostly R120 and R30, and then we have EDO3 and OG2 zone as well. The area comprises of almost 830 acres of land. The area is mostly vacant and contains the Old Bridge Rifle Club, the Glenwood Country Club golf course, a Board of Education property at the corner of Jake Brown and Route 9. Now, to give you an overview of the land use plan, I think it's very critical to first look at the entire area, because there has been a lot of history. There has been an approved GDP, which is right across the street from this redevelopment area. And then you would understand the rationale behind the districts better. So I've created this map, which shows, and I'll point it as I'm talking, to the north of the redevelopment area to the west side of Highway 9 is Oaks at Glenwood. This was a part of an approved GDP, which was approved almost 20 years back. It is being developed in 3 phases. The phase 1 is under construction, which is the Hovnanian homes that are being constructed. What you see right in along Route 9, which is also a part of the GDP, the blue line in the map depicts the boundary of the GDP. Abutting Route 9 is the non-residential component of this GDP, which comprises of roughly 500,000 square feet of commercial space. The planning board has received an application to proceed with this development as well. To the north of the Oaks at Glenwood is the mixed-use inclusionary housing zone. This was created as part of our court-approved housing plan. Then we have Kennedy International, where my cursor is, which is again a redevelopment plan that was created. To the west of it is Stavola, the concrete batch plant. This entire thing in blue is our current SD3, the special development zone, which comprises of warehousing, light industrial, manufacturing type of uses. To the south of the redevelopment area are existing residential developments, Whispering Pines, Glenwood Apartments. So we already have a lot of residential development that is in the pipeline or has been planned for future surrounding this area. So I think it's important that when we create a new zone or a new zone plan for this area, it includes more commercial or non-residential activity, which would actually create more jobs for the township. So before we get into the land use plan, I also want to share with you a constraints map so that it gives you an idea that although this entire area covers 830 acres, only 430 some acres is actually developable. And what I mean by developable is that it does not have any environmental constraints, including wetlands, wetland transition areas, riparian buffers, or any floodways. But just because there is 430 acres of developable land doesn't mean that we can build on every inch, because you will notice on the screen, the light blue is the wetlands. There is a faint dotted yellow line, which shows the transition areas. There is a stream. There are riparian buffers. So when you try to put something on the parcels, it is not as easy. Like access is an issue, or getting the permits is also cumbersome. So I wanted to give you a flair. The one more thing I wanted to point out is these wetlands or the natural constraints that exist on the property, if you notice, form natural buffers surrounding these areas. So just to point out, the Gun Club parcel, only the centermost portion is actually developable, but surrounding that throughout the property is all wetlands. Same thing with the 2 parcels on Jake Brown Road. One, there is JCP&L right-of-way that the easement that cuts the entire property. And then you have constraints along Route 9 or surrounding Jake Brown Road restrict you from developing, or also they shield you from public view. Same thing with the residential portions. There is a natural buffer that screens the developable portion from the residences. So after studying all this, we came up with a land use plan which divides the entire area into 4 districts. And I'll go with each district. First is the District A, which is actually, the border of District A is the JCP&L easement. And this is nothing but our current EDO3 zone, or our economic development opportunity zone, because this area abuts directly the highway. So this is an ideal area to encourage retail, commercial activity, and that is consistent with other land uses along the highway. Before I jump to District B, I want to talk a little bit about District C because it directly abuts the highway commercial area. This zone also would allow retail commercial use, as well as it will try to combine the SD3 zone. Now we have to remember this area is in close proximity to Highway 9, a commercial corridor. There is NJ Transit bus service along these lines, and I will get into the improvements part in the later part of my presentation. But the idea would be to leverage these area assets and allow development that can take advantage of the proximity of the highway, the greater connectivity, which now this plan will offer once the improvements are implemented. And then we have District B, which is quite similar to the SD3 zone. But remember, although it is an expansion of the SD3 zone, there are natural buffers surrounding these areas, which actually segregate any type of use that goes on these two parcels from the rest of the residential area. So it would be kind of secluded and would have the advantage of having access to the highway. Lastly is the District D, which is because of the way the developable portion is located right in the center with heavy wetlands and constraints all surrounding it. This would be quite identical to our SD5 zone, which permits light industrial uses, manufacturing uses, or warehousing type of uses. Obviously, this would only happen with significant circulation or infrastructure improvements along the roadways. And to be able to thoroughly evaluate the current roadway system, what Nicole and I actually did is we looked at the 2009 plan, the circulation plan. So the circulation plan was actually written in 2000, and then it was amended in 2009. And this is what it looks like. What you see in purple and pink are the recommended roadways based on the 2009 plan. And I have superimposed it with the redevelopment area so that we see which roadways really impact any development on the redevelopment sites. So we evaluated this, but obviously some of the recommended roadway alignments, they differ from the existing roadway alignment within this area, in which case we need to reevaluate or review of the circulation old plan is warranted. What we did is we reviewed the old plan and developed a new circulation plan that impacts just this redevelopment area, and so that we create a safer circulation pattern, have better connectivity, and also offer multimodal transportation system while still being consistent with the original goals and objectives of the 2000 circulation plan. So now I will just talk about specific areas, starting with Jake Brown Road South. Now, if you notice, the dotted line is what was recommended as per the 2009 plan. The lines in red are the ones that are proposed based on this land use plan and this plan. Now, this tiny piece of property, which my cursor is pointing at, is actually Northwood Manor, which is an approved residential application. This site was a part of our court-approved housing element and fair share plan. I believe there are 6 affordable units that we would get out of this development. But the recommended route was behind this development. However, there is an existing road that is already being built here. So we propose that Jake Brown Road South gets extended and meets here at a T intersection with White Oak Lane. The original recommendation for the White Oak Lane extension was to go through this route and meet right where the Board of Ed property is. However, there are significant environmental constraints in this area. So to cause limited disturbance to the wetlands or the environmental sensitive lands, we recommend that the White Oak Lane extension be rerouted this way. most important thing, this line in the black is the White Oak Lane extension, which is within the Oaks at Glenwood property. So, which means that the proposed roadway alignment now would meet right in front of the White Oak Lane extension that is under construction. Now, we have Jake Brown Road that goes straight. If you look at the recommended routes, these were the two routes that were recommended, but this would involve crossing of the rail tracks. So we have come up with this new route that actually connects at a T intersection on Bordentown Road right in front of Browns Road, which actually will cause minimum disturbance to the wetlands. Then going back to the east side of Jake Brown Road, this dotted line here was the, this dotted line here was what was recommended based on the 2009 plan. But the developable portion on this property is somewhere around here. Putting a roadway right in the middle would actually make this property not developable. We wouldn't be able to put anything on the parcel if the roadway crosses there. Also, if you notice, this roadway connects to Cottrell Road right in between two residential properties. So which means that there will be a discharge of vehicles on Cottrell between the residential areas, which we wanted to avoid. So the new proposal is to just redevelop or redevelop along the already disturbed Jake Brown Road roadway alignment. And this green line in the center is actually a fire access and a bikeway lane, because if we have heavy commercial activity or light industrial, mini warehousing or warehousing type of uses, we do not want the traffic to be directed onto the residential community. So what we have proposed is there would be roadway improvements on Jake Brown Road here between the residences, adding sidewalk on one side of the roadway. And then in between the two, there would be a fire access and bikeway lane. The entire circulation plan, we have worked in detail on street sections where the roadway composes of sidewalks, bike lanes, and where it's not possible because of the environmental constraints to have a wider right of way. We have ensured that there is a wider shoulder so that that can be also used as a bike lane. The whole idea is to create a multimodal plan, and so that people can walk to work, they can bike to work, as well as use the mass transit. It just so happened that last week I was roped into a meeting with NJDOT and a consultant that is working for NJDOT. And Nicole, after I'm done, maybe you can chime in if I miss on something. But NJDOT has been working on an assessment along Route 9. They're preparing a needs statement, and as part of it, they have hired a consultant to review all the intersections on Route 9 to see how they can be improved in terms of pedestrian activity, adding better connectivity to transit, the bus stops and stuff like that. And when I was in the meeting and I shared with them our plan or our vision, they were pretty thrilled. They were very supportive of the entire plan. So I will be meeting with them again. It's a lengthy process, but the initial feedback was very, very positive. Then going on to the community impact. And I think this is the most critical piece to the plan. So as I explained previously, the current zoning for the entire 830 acres it contains 5 zones. So mostly R120, where the minimum lot size is 120,000 square feet. Then we have R30 zone, and then R40 zone, and also we have EDO3 and the office general type of uses. So what I did is I actually quickly created a community impact to see what would happen if we go by by the current zoning. And the numbers that are in front of you are bare minimum, because remember, in the past too, we have had experiences where it is zoned for single family residential use. However, we have been in courts and we have developers asking for much higher density, especially like when we have developments like Oaks at Glenwood across the street. So even if we go by the basic zoning that exists, this entire area can create roughly 1,200 jobs, because we have the ADO and the OG zone. But at the same time, the area can create 350 single family homes at the minimum. And this 350 homes, if you use the census multiplier for Old Bridge, will generate a population increase of roughly 950 people with 370 school kids. Again, this is just based on the current zoning, but nobody can stop a developer from coming and asking for apartments, townhouses, just identical to Oaks at Glenwood. And then I went to the proposed plan, and based on the current layout and the proposed districts, I tried to come up with what would be our projected numbers. One, residential uses are not permitted in any of those four districts. There will be no overall increase in population. There will be no impact to the school system. And then applying the retail and commercial use multipliers, which are published by Rutgers, there will be roughly 700 on the lowest end, but 2,500 jobs. With warehousing type of uses, I actually went by the current standards, because when Rutgers wrote its multipliers, this is a decade back, when light industrial use, manufacturing, or warehousing use was completely different. Now with automation and technology being used, and all of us shopping online, and with the pandemic coming into play too, this use has changed quite a lot. There is a lot of robotics used in operating these systems. And plus, we are not allowing distribution centers. We are not allowing fulfillment centers. So these are small scale warehouses would generate jobs for us. So that is the pro with the proposed land use plan. That's the end of my presentation. As next steps, the draft plan is currently being reviewed by our township attorney. Once I get a feedback from him, I will be back in front of you with the report, so that you have ample time to look at it, and I will be presenting it for first reading. At the same time, the township attorney, the administration will be working on creating a redevelopers agreement and the pilot for this. Mark, if you want, you can chime in. Something I missed.
No, you covered it all, Dina. I mean, you know, obviously, if you remember, SEGME was the conditional redeveloper. You know, it's a multi-step process. This is the land use proposal or plan that gets adopted by way of ordinance. But remember, that doesn't approve anything. I mean, ultimately, once the zoning's in place, and presumably, you know, we proceed and get the redeveloper under redevelopment agreement, they then still have to make their application in front of the planning board for their approval. So it's the beginning part of the process. We know that the proposed redeveloper is been, you know, very aggressive. Obviously, still has a lot of interest in proceeding. So again, hopefully, we will be in a position to introduce the redevelopment plan, which will be the zoning ordinance for adoption at the August meeting.
For that very good presentation, very appreciated. And now, are there any council members who have any questions about the presentation?
Mr. Murphy has his hand raised.
Okay, Mr. Murphy, you have your hand raised.
Mr. Piscity also has his.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to ask a question. Is there going to be any actual building near Jake Brown Road in that area right there where the road goes up and heads, towards the other Jake Brown? Is there any building right in there?
So, Mr. Murphy, for now, there are no buildings designed. We have just come up with the land use districts. Obviously, when the developer comes in for a site plan application in front of the planning board, we will have a clearer picture on where the buildings will be actually placed, because like I said, there are significant wetlands, so they have to go through the wetland permitting process and then the LOI for it to see exactly where those buildings can be placed. So it's pretty premature at this stage
Okay.
to kind of assign a location for a building. But even if there would be a building, the land use plan will cover details such as, buffers and setbacks and screening and stuff like that. So there will be much more design standards or much more detailed design standards that would be in place.
Okay, are you aware what the original use for that land was?
Yes, that's exactly what I said in my
Okay.
presentation, that the
So-
current zoning is residential. And towards Route 9, it is EDO3 or OG, but at the back is all residential. So that would be single family homes or even townhouses or multifamily homes if somebody wishes to pursue that. And that's
Okay,
why I'm changing it.
do you understand underground? And I don't think they ever took care of it. Underground is a little city, all underground there. Because they used to store, I don't want to say what they stored, but they stored stuff. It was the missile site. And all the weapons and everything been sent over to Natteral. But when I first visited in 1963, they showed us where the entrance to the city was and everything. I just want to make sure they're not building on top of ground that's, all, there could be houses falling through and stuff. And it's to the right. You go in and it's to the right and to the left, the city went. And years later, I was like, it was 1963, I first found out about it. Then about 8 years later, I went down, I was friends with somebody, and he said, it's an underlying city under there.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. I don't believe so with the way the setbacks are laid along the roadway. However, I will definitely take a look into it. I know exactly where it is located, and I don't believe anything will be built on that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Pescetti, do you have a question as well?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment first. Good presentation, Vina. Excellent job. And I am in total support of changing the zoning for this new redevelopment plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pescetti. Anyone else? Any other council member?
Mr. Merwin has his.
Mr.
hand up.
Merwin?
Yes. Great presentation. Just a couple of questions. I know you put a lot of work in to have minimum disturbance to the wetlands and stuff for the truck traffic throughout the Bordentown Avenue, but it's going to create a major disturbance to transportation and their traffic in the area. And the job numbers. Now, the job numbers that you put up, 1,200 full-time jobs. Are they construction jobs or are they full-time jobs?
They are full-time jobs. They're not, this does
They
not
are full-time.
include,
So you
yes,
think
it does not
so you
include-
think 5 warehouses are going to bring us 1,200 people?
yes.
Okay. How many people do we have at Kennedy International that are employed from Old Bridge Township?
I am not aware of that.
Well, maybe that's something we should find out, because those numbers seem to be a little high to me, because that does not look like the traffic that's coming out of Kennedy International.
So, Mr. Merwin, I did some research before I came up with numbers. Instead of solely relying on multipliers created by somebody, I did look at some existing facilities that have similar type of uses. So that's where the number has come from. So that is realistic data,
Well,
but I will definitely look.
There's probably no more realistic data than Kennedy International, which is on Waterworks Road, adjacent to this property. There's
Sure,
probably no more, that conforms to that. So
Sure,
that is definitely one we should be checking.
Sure, I will definitely check into the employment data. But again, I believe Kennedy International was built a few years ago, and now things have changed even in the last 5-6 years. But I will be happy to go and review that information, and we'll have it ready for you at next
Definitely would
meeting.
appreciate that. Now, where the Board of Education is on Jake Brown Road,
Mhm.
you're right up there. What do you propose right there immediately?
I'm going to pull up the do you see the screen?
Yep.
All right. So this is the Board of Ed property. And the way the roadway is aligned, it would cut through here. I don't believe there is anything proposed right here. However, there would be some buildings because I know there is a developable portion somewhere here. So there might be a possibility that a building is located in that area.
Because didn't they just sell that property?
I think it was bought by the developer.
By this
Yeah,
developer?
Yeah, Mr. Merwin, yeah, I think it was purchased by the proposed redeveloper. Buying it in anticipation of developing the site.
Okay.
And then just to your point, Mr. Merwin, to your first point, obviously it's always going to depend on the end user, right? And there's, and I'm not sure what Kennedy International does or what type of warehousing is, or even the size. I think it's a 300,000 square foot warehouse, about that size. But one of the things that we don't want, though, when you talk about the number of jobs, what you don't want is a fulfillment center. What you don't want is a distribution center, because that's Amazon, right? And then you're dealing with traffic and cars and things like that. So you have that balance of dealing, have that balance of creating jobs, having warehouse, but not wanting, to go overboard. But one thing that we can do, and we can talk to the redeveloper about that as part of redeveloper agreement, is to make efforts to hire Old Bridge residents. And because it's redeveloped area, those are things that we can discuss and have discussed with them to make that a priority for sure. And whether they, typically this redeveloper, they hold on to the warehouses, then, and they rent the space. So from that perspective, we can ensure that they make that a priority to make entryway into the Old Bridge area and seek to hire, obviously, Old Bridge residents first.
Mark, I think you hit it right on the head in that it's the end user.
Yeah.
We don't know what uses we're going to get here. My biggest problem, because believe me, I'm all for smart growth. This is the way, but at what expense? At my number one concern is the traffic, and this is going to create, because I'm telling you, probably tomorrow, Cherville and East Brunswick and South River and them are going to be up in arms as soon as this gets in the paper, that we're going to be dumping the traffic into their town. And I think currently before the legislature, there is some legislation that we have to take into consideration now, the impacts on other towns. I think that came from South Brunswick or one of them. And that's the biggest thing that my concern is the traffic. I don't want Route 9 becoming Route 1 in Edison, where you don't move, not just during rush hour, all day. And that's the biggest concern. So that's why I'm a proponent of flyovers, and I know they're costly, but maybe between the state and the municipality and the developer, it's something that may be able to get done. You know, that's my only concern is the traffic.
Well, one thing I can assure you that if it were to be developed and under its current zoning, the amount of traffic being generated would be far greater than would be proposed under this type of scenario.
It's not truck traffic. And that's my biggest concern is that Route 9 will become Route 1, and that's it. And other than that, this is a great idea, but that's my concern is the truck traffic. And I don't think everybody's going to allow us to build a road on top of their aquifer. I don't think East Brunswick and Sayreville and South River are going to want them trucks coming out there, because that's exactly where we're going to dump them, right on the Bordentown Avenue. And I don't know if you've been out there at any kind of rush hour. You don't move on it now. So I think they're going to be screaming. So, we definitely got to make sure that this traffic is being taken care of now, not 10 years from now when it's too late. So that's my only concern. But the presentation was great. Thank you, Vina.
A question, a comment? No?
I think there'll be more traffic if there's houses there, and also will be more stress on our infrastructure. Police, volunteer firemen that they're finding difficulty getting people to volunteer, EMS, and schools. So I think the long-term detrimental effect would be more severe with houses. The way these warehouses, if it's going to be warehouses, they're set back, you won't even see them. And I don't think, any more traffic than we would have now. They would stop there instead of going down all the way when Manalapan builds them. Then that you're talking about real traffic in Marlboro and in Old Bridge when it goes down to Manalapan and Marlboro and Freehold.
Sorry, you have to repeat yourself. I had you muted.
Okay, I'm sorry. Does anyone else have a question or a comment?
Council President, I just wanted to thank Dina. Great presentation. I look forward to seeing finalized plans and seeing what happens there. I think we've all been talking about smart development, not overdevelopment. And I think this plan is a lot better than the thousands of homes that potentially could go on all of those tracks.
For a question or a comment? Okay, seeing no hands. Once again, thank you. That was a very good presentation. And I think we need to have these conversations because that area will be developed eventually. And we have to be the people who sit here and make good decisions, smart decisions, and try to work with the best interest at heart, all of us for the township. Thank you very much. Okay. Next will be the second presentation. So Ms. Shapiro, would you like to start?
Nicole, you're muted.
Sorry, I'm going to hand this over to Vina. I said my 2 cents already, but.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Vina, take it away.
Thank you.
Thank you all. 200 Lawrence Harbor Parkway. This site is the former senior center site. Again, located on Woodland at the intersection of Woodland Avenue, Lawrence Parkway, and Norwood. Just to give you a little background, in 2015, the council passed a resolution designating this area as an area in need of redevelopment. Subsequently, in 2016, a redevelopment plan was crafted, and the redevelopment plan allowed for multifamily and attached single-family homes on this property. Upon adoption of the plan, Habitat for Humanity of Greater Plainfield and Middlesex County expressed its desire to develop this property with 12 residential units. They were proposed in 2 buildings with a parking lot in the center, so they were multifamily units. And so in March of 2016, Old Bridge Redevelopment Agency designated Habitat for Humanity of Greater Plainfield as the conditional redeveloper. They had presented this plan to allow multifamily residences and single-family homes and this was their concept. So you have two buildings, one closer to the intersection of Woodland Avenue and Lawrence Parkway, and another building closer to the intersection of Woodland Avenue and Norwood. There was a parking lot in the center, and there was this was the elevation. The reason I bring this up is just to show you the scale of the structure, and all of you are aware of Lawrence Harbor. The area or the neighborhood comprises of small bungalow style homes, and then we had this larger multi-family building, two buildings, 2 floors with 6 units each. What happened is, owing to some disagreements on the level of contribution requested by Habitat from the Township, Old Bridge Redevelopment Agency terminated the redeveloper's agreement, and Habitat for Humanity as the redeveloper in 2017. After that, in 2019, there was another developer who was interested in developing this property. So Old Bridge Redevelopment Agency designated Costanza Builders, who was the new developer, to develop this parcel with semi-attached or duplex type of homes. However, since he was unable to secure the home grant funding, which is administered by Middlesex County, that project never came to fruition. Recently, and that was in March of 2021, Morris Habitat for Humanity reached out to Old Bridge Redevelopment Agency. They came up and they presented a plan which proposed, again, 2-family semi-detached homes, single-family semi-detached homes, essentially 2-family homes that have a vertical wall in common, but they resembled more like the bungalow-style single-family homes that exist currently in the neighborhood. They were proposing the same amount of units. And again, to recall, this site was included in our court-approved housing element and fair share plan, which required that there would be 12 affordable for sale units with preference for veterans. And so Morris Habitat has come up with a similar concept. The concept is right now in front of you. You will see that there are 6 buildings, each containing 2 units. There is a 0 side setback between 2 units, which means they have a common wall, a vertical wall between the 2 units. And there are 2 units facing Lawrence Parkway, 3 units facing Woodland Avenue, and one building, facing Norwood Avenue. While they were developing this concept, we met with the county, and Morris for Habitat and Nicole and myself attended the meeting to see, because Lawrence Parkway is a county road, we wanted to see what the county's input is. And based on the comments received, based on Nicole and my suggestions, so there will be right-of-way dedications on Woodland Avenue as well as Lawrence Parkway, so that there will be on-street parking created. So each of this dwelling unit has 2-car parking space within the driveway, so they do not crowd the already overburdened on-street parking situation in Lawrence Parkway. So they will have their own parking stalls, but in addition to that, there will be on-street parking as well. The beauty of this project is there is, I don't know if you can see it, but this tiny rectangle attached to each of the dwelling units at the back is a shed that was included in the layout. It has access from the outside, but each dwelling unit will have their independent shed. There will be a porch, a 10-foot by 20-foot porch behind each of these dwelling unit. The lot area for each dwelling ranges somewhere between 1,800 to 2,000 square feet, which is pretty consistent with what is right now existing in that neighborhood. So overall, this is a better plan compared to what we had in 2016 with 2 multifamily buildings. The proposed land use is more consistent or in sync with the existing neighborhood. What we need as next step is to come up to revise that existing 2016 redevelopment plan. And after consulting with our township attorney, I actually have recrafted the entire plan because that plan was custom made for multifamily units. And so I thought I would rewrite the plan, which is more palatable to the existing land uses. I would ensure that the buildings are designed a certain way. There are sidewalks along the route. There is on-street parking. There is landscape area ratio requirements. And also we work on the architectural to make it look like it belongs to the same neighborhood. So that plan will, these are the elevations. Now, disclaimer, these elevations have not been finalized because I personally and Nicole were not too thrilled about the elevations. The plan, in fact, has a requirement that there will be some sort of stone at the bottom of the home so that it becomes more attractive. There will be different materials used. So the elevations will look much different when it really is built. However, this is the first draft and first look at the elevations. This is only to give you a visual feel of the scale and the size of each of those homes. But as the next step, I have amended the plan. I've rewritten the plan. This plan, the new plan, will replace and rescind the 2016 plan. It will be reviewed by our township attorney, and I'm hoping to come in front of you again next month with the ordinance and the plan. The next step would be to adapt the plan and then create a redevelopers agreement simultaneously. Mark, if you have anything to chime in.
Sure.
But one
If
last
you
thing,
remember-
I'm sorry, Mark, one last
Okay.
thing. I just want to say that there will be no change to our spending plan. We already amended our spending plan in 2019 with this project and the Marlborough Road project in mind. So the council has already adopted that amended spending plan. There was an amount assigned for this project already. Plus, Mars Habitat for Humanity is also working. They're pretty positive about gaining fundings from the home grant funds administered by Middlesex County. Again, there will be a veterans preference. This will be fee simple for sale, 100% affordable units. Mark, all yours.
Okay, thanks. If you remember, this is one of the two municipally sponsored projects in our last third round plan that was approved by affordable housing, the court. And I think Vina had said, I think this plan is actually a lot better than what was proposed the first time around. And what makes this unique is that these are actually fee simple affordable units. For the most part, that is rare. And I've, been in multiple municipalities, and this is one of the first times that you'll see that there's actually fee simple affordable units. For the most part, there's been either apartments or somewhat of townhomes or condominiums, but most of them are rental. And so I think this is actually a really positive. And this go around dealing with Morris County Habitat for Humanity, the first group had some administrative issues, management issues. This group's been around for a lot longer. They've been doing this for at least 25 years. They have absorbed some of the people who were in the Middlesex County group, and they've been actually a pleasure to deal with. And they're getting all their eggs in order. And they had proposed, I think, that this should be completed within 2 years. Vina, I think they had mentioned with the construction schedule.
Yes. Their plan is to have this built by the beginning of, I think, 2023.
Right. So this is, and they've been, they have their act together, and they've been proactive in getting this finished. So we, the town, in addition to making the financial contribution, also the land is being contributed as well as part of the town's contribution for this development.
Very nice presentation. Now I'll bring it out to the council members. Anyone have any questions or comments?
Mr. Piscitelli has his hand raised.
Okay, Mr. Piscitelli. Unmute.
Yes, okay, thank you. For the lawyer, why does this, I know we already approved the land and the cost of the buildings. Why is it before the council and not the redevelopment agency?
Because we're amending the plan, the redevelopment plan, which is a zoning ordinance. So that is within the purview of council.
Okay, it's a zoning issue.
Yeah, right. So because they came up with a different plan and Vina had to adjust it, setbacks to adjust for this particular, we're basically creating a whole new plan so that make it comply with what Habitat of Mars is proposing.
Right, I understand. Okay, so so these are going to be rental units, or are you going to sell them?
No, they're fee simple. They're not rentals. So the people who live there will own them.
Okay, so that's great. And I think the plan looks really good. I would definitely support it. Thank you, Vina.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Piscitelli. Anyone else for a question or a comment?
Mr. Merwin has his hand raised. Mr. Merwin, you're muted.
I'm not muted anymore.
Oh,
Right?
there you go.
Okay. Listen, my only concern about this project is that it gets built, but this was a veterans preference project all along. I don't want to hear this preference. I want to hear veterans, especially disabled veterans, and that's it. And why are we building 4-bedroom units? Why don't we just add 2 more 2-bedroom units?
We have an allocation requirement, and you can't just limit it to veterans under UHAC regs.
I
There-
just
you-
seen
you
another
can give
town do it. I would.
Yeah, I'm Dave. I'm just telling you, you just can't limit it to veterans. It's a veteran's
I
preference.
believe Middletown
Um,
just did it. And maybe they're doing it illegal then, but. it was-
I don't know if they're doing it illegally. I don't know how. I'm not sure how they're doing it, but I'm just telling you what UHAC requirements are.
That is I think that should be very strict, that the veterans get the preference, especially disabled veterans. And I know now with the fee simple is going to make it a little bit more difficult, because they're buying it and we can't make this guy hold on to it. But I really think that we should be, we talk a good talk, it's time now to back that talk and make
Yeah, but
sure that that's what goes there.
Yeah, don't forget the other municipally sponsored project. Those are rentals, and that's also municipally veterans preference project, and those are rentals as well. So
But again, it's that word preference.
just follow the law, Dave.
And
I like to
I
do
would-
that. As a conservative, I like to do that.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that, it keeps you out of trouble, but I would hope that you go back and check it again. Maybe there's something you missed. If
I don't think so, but
If
I
other
got it.
municipalities are doing it, then something, maybe there's something that you missed. That's
I know a
all
lot
I'm
of things.
asking.
I know a lot of things. A lot of municipalities have done, and it's gotten their elected officials in trouble. So I try to keep you out of trouble.
All right, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else are you through, Mr. Merwin?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, anyone else for a question or a comment? Mrs. Walker?
No, that's my cursor, sorry.
Okay. Anyone? No? Okay, well, thank you again for a very good presentation. I'm happy to see this project moving forward, and hopefully it's going to come to a very good conclusion for everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next will be our bill listing. Also, the payment of bills, claims, and statements against the Township of Old Bridge in the total amount of $4,417,000 $25.94. Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mrs. Walker, second by Mr. De Palma. Mrs. Walker, please.
Okay, I'm going to read my report. Accounts payable, $2,607,357.88. June 25th, 2021 payroll, $892,178.27. June 25th, 2021 payroll overtime, $46,184.31. July 8th, 2021 payroll, $834,278.85. July 8th, 2021 payroll overtime, $37,026.63, a total of $4,417,025.94.
Bill listing, is that the total?
That's it.
That's all the, okay, thank you very much. I'd like Mrs. Shapiro now, since Mr. Shaw is away, can she please give us a breakdown for the overtime and the pay periods?
Nicole, you're muted.
So sorry. Thank you, Council President. For pay period, payroll of June 25th, 2021, total sworn officer overtime is $37,030.40. Deduct grants in the amount of $4,800. Deduct earned time off as $3,556.33. Net overtime then becomes $28,674.07, representing 427 man and women hours. There was one officer injured on duty during this period, and there was no officers on pandemic leave. For the payroll of July 8th, 2021, total sworn officer overtime is $30,914.12. Deduct grants in the amount of $3,420. Deduct earned time off of $308.30 for a net overtime of $27,185.82, representing 410 men and women hours. There were 2 officers injured in the line of duty, and then also 1 officer that was out due to pandemic leave. That's the end of my report, Council President.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Shapiro.
And now for a roll call, Ms. Brown is absent. Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Ms. Walker,
Yes.
President Selward.
Yes.
We have 8 ayes.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Walker. Okay, next will be H1, request release of performance guarantee for HHFT Holdings, Kennedy International, Block 6303, Lot 3.15. Good evening, Mrs. Shapiro.
Thank you, Council President. Once again, HHFT Holdings LLC, Kennedy International, is the warehousing that's located on Waterworks Road, just across from Manzo Boulevard. Council may recall that during Ms. Savant's presentation, she did mention the location of where Kennedy International is located. The application was in front of our zoning board in 2016 for construction of the warehouse. You may recall, Council, that in 2018, Kennedy International was before Council for bonds reduction. At that point, they did have one of their bonded site improvements was a concrete dolly pad or a concrete apron that was on site. That was constructed but had experienced some cracking within the surface. Our inspector at the time Marty Miller from the Alimo Group had indicated that since it was a bonded item, that we should retain some portion of the bond and have a reduction in lieu of a full release. During that council meeting, it was agreed that the applicant did not have to come back to council for bond release. However, since that time, Kennedy International and their attorney, Merrill Gonsha, had approached me and had said that it is the intent of the applicant and the owner to not correct the dolly pad, as the operations on site have been operating fully functioning and have not offered any safety deterrent to the employees on the site. And in such conversations, the applicant's attorney even offered us a hold harmless letter that says that should anything occur in the future with the dolly pad, that the township will not be held liable for anything. However, one of the caveats of the reduction was that they did complete the dolly pad and then they didn't have to come back to council. But because they didn't complete the dolly pad, I thought it was appropriate to bring them in front of council at the advice of our council. And so here we are today, knowing that the dolly pad has not been reconstructed. I do want to also note that should this be an application that was in front of our boards today for approval, and this dolly pad was constructed today, it would not be a bonded improvement under the new bonding laws. With that said, I have no issues with release of the remaining performance guarantee, which is in the form of a bond, $93,167.37, and in the form of cash, $10,351.93. Should the board, should the council look favorably on the release, should there be any outstanding escrow fees, we would ask that the developer then pays them in advance of the release. I do see that the attorney for the applicant is on, Merrill Gonsha, and I invite her to introduce herself to council, and I open for any questions after that.
Thank you, Ms. Shapiro. This is, I'm Merrill Gonsher. I'm a member of the firm of Sills, Cummins and Gross, and we do represent the applicant this evening seeking the reduction or seeking the release rather of the remaining bond. And I did represent the applicant before the boards previously. Your engineer has given a thorough and complete statement. I would simply reiterate, this is a private improvement. It is part of the area that's accessed by trucks rather than pedestrians or other employees. And as a private improvement, it would not be subject to bonding requirements currently. And therefore, in my view, at least, the town would not have any responsibility with regard to it. But as indicated, we have provided a writing that sets forth that circumstance in any event. So unless there are any questions that I can answer, we would simply rely on what's been put before you and request that these remaining bonds be released, both the cash portion and the bond. As indicated, as I hope you know by passing by there, the facility has been up and operating successfully for a couple of years now.
Okay, thank you very much. Now I'll open it up to council. Anyone, any questions? Does anyone have any questions for our attorney? Anyone?
Very thorough.
Okay, very good. All right. So if there's no questions for anyone, then I'll ask for a motion.
I'll move it.
Second.
Okay. Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Rizzoli or Mr. Murphy.
I think Mr. Rizzoli.
Okay, Mr. Rizzoli. Okay.
Okay.
Madam President, before we take roll call, I should open to the public.
Yes, and we're going to open it up to the public.
Thank you.
We're opening it to the public for this portion. This is only related to the release of the performance guarantee for HHFT Holdings Kennedy International. Our call-in number is 929. I apologize. I was just told we don't have it. If any person would like to raise their hands, they can follow the instructions by pressing *9, Option or Alt Y, or raise hand in their phone or computer app. Council President, I don't have any raised hands.
Okay, so then we'll make a motion to close the public portion.
I'll
Motion,
move it.
second,
Okay, moved by Mr. De Palma, second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Okay, so Ms. Brown is absent. Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin is absent Deus. Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
yes,
Ms. Walker,
yes,
President Sohor.
Yes,
We have 7 ayes.
okay.
I think you have to take a roll call on the release. That was on the closing public comment.
Yeah, we did the
Yes.
public portion. Now we're gonna do the roll call on the release.
So I had a motion by Dr. Greenberg Belli
Right.
and a second by Mr. Rizzoli for the release.
Mhm.
So for roll call, Ms. Brown is absent. Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin is absent Deus. Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
yes.
Ms. Walker,
yes.
President Sohor.
Yes,
We have 7 ayes.
okay. Thank you very much for all the information. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much.
Okay, next will be our consent agenda. I'd like a motion and a second, and then we'll go for separations.
Motion,
Second.
Okay, Mr. Rizzoli made the motion, Mr. De Palma made the second, and now separations.
Ms. Brown is absent. Mr. De Palma, do you have any separations?
C10.
Okay. Dr. Greenberg Belli, do you have any separations?
No, thank you.
Mr. Merwin, do you have any separations?
7, 8, 9.
7, 8,
Eight and
and
nine.
9?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay. Mr. Murphy, do you have any separations?
No, thank you.
Mr. Piscitty, do you have any separations?
D4.
C4.
Mhm.
Okay. Mr. Rizzoli, do you have any separations?
no, thank you.
Ms. Walker, do you have any separations?
No, thank you.
President Sohor, do you have any separations?
no,
Okay. So we'll do a roll call for the remaining. Ms. Brown is absent. Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes,
Ms. Walker,
Yes,
President Sohor.
yes,
We have 8 ayes for the remaining items on the consent agenda.
thank you. Next will be C4, Mr. Piscitty.
Yeah, thank you. Can the attorney comment on what this is about?
Hey, Mr. Rizzoli, Mr.
Well,
Rizzoli?
actually, there was a letter provided by the planning board attorney that was backup. So this is a planning board matter in which an appeal was made by the applicant. It had to do with an application, I think it's off of Route 9 for a 24-hour service station and convenience store. And they appealed the board's denial. I think they were in a series of negotiations back and forth about a proposed revision to the plan. Those negotiations apparently were not fruitful. So this is just to increase the original contract amount by an additional 5,000. I think oral argument is scheduled, if I recall. I don't have access to Novus, but I think oral argument on the brief is scheduled, I think, sometime in July or in early August.
And that's a property on Route 18, not 9, right?
Yep, it's Route 18 and Foxborough Drive.
Right. Okay, thank you. I'll move it.
Second,
Sorry, moved by Mr. Piscitty, second by Mr. Murphy. Ms. Brown, I had this muted, is absent. Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Just for the attorney, Mark, that is the 18 in Foxborough one?
Yeah, apparently it is. Yeah, I remember it's next to Foxborough. I just don't have the, the attorney, planning board attorney had prepared a letter. I know it's back up. I just don't have access to it.
Mark, it is. So it's
Yeah.
it's the Route 18 in front of Foxborough, Dave.
Yeah, question for Mark. I sat on the original application before I went off the planning board. Should I vote or no?
Yeah, that's okay, because all you're doing is approving the contract amount. That's
Okay.
not a problem.
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
yes.
Mr. Piscitty,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Ms. Walker,
Yes.
President Zohor.
Yes.
We have 8 ayes.
Okay, next will be C7, Mr. Merwin.
Mr. Merwin, you're muted.
Yeah, this is for the fireworks at Saltwater Day. I just pulled it because as the president of the first aid, I shouldn't be voting on it, so. Nobody else has, this is for Saltwater Day and we will have fireworks. So.
Okay, so
I have a
anything
question.
else? Mr. Piscitty?
Yeah, for the lawyer, what's the town's liability? What's our risk in this event? Like if somebody gets hurt or, does that go against our insurance? What, are they self-insured? What is going on with that?
Well, who's the sponsor of the event? Is it a municipally sponsored event?
It's a sponsored event between the Township of Old Bridge, the County of Middlesex, and the First Aid Squad. And we have more insurance than the town does, so.
So to the extent that, that, all those parties are involved, there's potential liability. But I think the fireworks are specifically being sponsored by the First Aid Squad. So just like any applicant for fireworks, they have to provide insurance, and there's an application requirement, and they have to fill all the requirements for the fireworks, which according to what the clerk had indicated, all those conditions have been met. So, and it's no different than any other applicant who wants to have fireworks in the municipality.
What is the cost of the fireworks? You're muted.
Not muted, it's not a public answer.
Yeah, Councilwoman, it's actually paid by the First Aid. It's not paid by the township.
Okay.
I will share that with you off camera, but.
Okay.
All right. I mean, it's nothing that we're hiding. It's just proprietary information,
No, just because I know fireworks are expensive, so
Yes,
I
they are.
didn't know how much they were.
And we get a very good price. So that's why I really don't want to make it public. So,
Okay.
all right.
I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
I'll move it.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Piscitty, second by Mr.
Ms. Brown is absent. Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Abstain.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Ms. Walker,
Yes.
President Zohor.
Yes.
We have 7 ayes and 1 abstention.
Okay, next will be C8, Mr. Merwin.
C9.
Oh, I'm sorry, no, didn't you say C8, Dave, also? Yeah,
Yeah.
we
C8.
did C7, Tony. Now we're doing C8.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Mr. Merwin?
Mr. Merwin, you're muted.
My only question is, where is this?
This is, it's currently Vintage Wines. I believe it's off of Route 9. It's not changing its location. It's just transferring the ownership.
Very good.
It's,
That was the only question.
oh, I'm sorry. It's Route 516. I apologize.
Right across from the municipal building, right?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay. If there's
Yes.
no other.
3885 Route 516.
Okay, if there's no other questions. That was my only concern. If there's no other questions, I'll move it.
That's it.
Okay, moved by Mr. Merwin, second by Mr. Murphy, I believe.
Murphy. Okay. Thank you. Ms. Brown is absent. Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes,
Mr. Murphy,
God bless you.
Mr. Murphy is absent Deus. Mr. Piscitty,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Ms. Walker,
Yes.
President Selhor.
Yes.
We have 7 ayes.
Okay, next will be C9, Mr. Merwin.
You're muted.
Mr. Merwin, you're muted again.
I thought I hit it. Could I just get a little background on this?
Councilman Merwin, so you might recall a couple of months ago, I probably came with a similar request from Woodhaven for one of their pieces of parcel that was cut out of the waste management or the water quality management plan for Middlesex County. And what happens is when they had revised the map, and I think it was somewhere around like 2016, they had sent a letter to the township stating that there was no changes in Old Bridge Township. And that was addressed by Sam Rizzo at the time. But slowly what we've been seeing from various applicants who received approvals from our boards is that there were revisions and in some cases, some of these properties were bisected and some of the parcels were sort of partially left out. This is a piece of property that is close to Garden State Parkway, known as the Alfieri site. That's been cleared. A piece of it was left off of that new plan inadvertently, I believe. And it was actually a piece that was suggested in the 2013 amendment to be added in. So it was quite unusual that it was left out. Anyway, they're asking for an amendment to that Lower Raritan Middlesex County Water Quality Management Plan. That's to make sure that they're in the sewer service area. And that's all it is. It's just consenting to the amendment.
And what does that mean for Old Bridge? I mean, there is some water problems on that property, and that's.
It wasn't really entirely for water. It was as far as the sewer service area. It was just their entire piece, probably about 90% of their property is in. But when they drew the line, they didn't include this one parcel that was part of their original GDP. So they were always in it. It's just that a piece was excluded. You'll actually see me come at the next meeting. They just didn't have all their paperwork in for Northwood Manors. Same thing. I came to council maybe about a year ago for you to allow me to go to them and I guess sign a DEP form or something like that, similar in nature to this. So they're going to come in with the same request.
So this is just where they're saying that our sewer system can handle it, or what does that mean?
Did you see the backup that I had in there? There's a map that.
I mean,
I
don't get
okay. Well, let me just let me just take a look here.
So Nicole, doesn't it basically allow them to use municipal sewer service rather than having to use a septic?
Exactly.
And basically, it seems the county used a fat pen when they drew their map because, right, Nicole's right. When the map was first done back in 2016, we were told there's gonna be no changes to Old Bridge. And then as they go through, these developers come in through application, they're finding out, well, this segment was left off, this other segment was left off. But it basically is it's to say that, okay, you're in the sewer service area, you can have sewer in this area as opposed to having septic.
Yeah, that's all I'm concerned.
Nicole, is that the map you?
That is perfect, Gabby. Thank you for putting it up. I actually just flipped to the page there. So if you see, Councilman Merwin, you're familiar with the area, you see where the Garden State Parkway is and where the Alfieri piece is, this is drawn correctly. And Gabby, if you scroll down a little bit, you could see what that orange legend, see that orange, scroll down, see where the legend is. So we could show council what that orange represents. That's actually area removed, but it's encompassed by a magenta color that is area requested by municipality. This map was actually done in January of 2016. When they came to Sam Rizzo in somewhere around 2016, they came with an amended map. And that amended map, in some cases, you could see this map here, it doesn't have the parcel lines on there. So in some cases, maybe if you zoom in a little close, you might see something, but you don't have the parcel limits, and they were bisecting pieces of property. You can't do that. They did that to Woodhaven, they did that to Northwood Manors, and now they're doing it to the Alfieri site.
Now, my concern is answered by Mark. My concern is strictly water on the property. This just says they can get into the municipal sewer service, right?
Yes.
That I'll move it.
Well, did the MUA have any input on this?
It's going to be on our agenda July 28th.
So if we approve this.
No, the MUA, the engineer did.
Roy said, okay.
Yeah.
The applicant has to reach out to all the affected agencies. And so the applicant did do that. They sent a request to the MUA as well. They sent it to the township. So this is the township's piece for the amendment. The MUA also, as Dr. Greenberg had said, a similar request was sent to the MUA as well.
In
so
fact,
they'll take that up at their meeting.
In fact, Councilman Pischetti, Mike Roy did copy me on the resolution that they had prepared in anticipation of the next meeting.
Thank you.
And I moved it.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Merwin, second by Mr. Pischetti.
Ms. Brown is absent. Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pischetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes.
We have 8 ayes.
Okay, next is C10, Mr. De Palma.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we separated it, really to highlight the mayor and the township's commitment to, public safety. Also to welcome officers Massa, Jenks, Finelli, and Landy. Congratulations to all of you. I hope you much success in the future. I look forward to working with you and your contributions to the township and its safety. That's it. I just wanted to make sure that we welcome them. I did see it on Mr. Shah's administrative report. I wanted to beat him to it, but Nicole, if I knew you were doing it, I would have allowed you to do it, but.
Okay, so you made a motion, Mr. De Palma?
I'll move it.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. De Palma, second by Mr. Murphy.
Ms. Brown is absent. Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pischetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes.
We have 8 ayes.
Okay, that'll conclude the consent agenda. Next will be discussion ordinance, an ordinance accepting and establishing regulations of the operation of traffic control device at County Route 516, Old Bridge Manawan Road, and Morganville Road in the Township of Old Bridge, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey. Mrs. Shapiro?
Thank you, Council President. This is just sort of a routine of Middlesex County to come to us when they're completed with improvements to a traffic signal. You might say to me, what improvements are you talking about on Morganville Road and County Route 516? Because it was done quite a bit ago. I want to say 2018, maybe it was completed. As part of their records, they need a resolution that sort of, I'm sorry, and an ordinance basically accepting and establishing the regulations for the operations of the signal. And it's really just us accepting it and providing them with that resolution. There is a draft that was reviewed, I believe, by our township attorney. And should he agree with whatever what was drafted, I would ask that should the council look favorably on then the ordinance itself, then moving it up to first reading for tonight if possible.
I reviewed it and revised it, and we've done this multiple times in the past. I'm not, I don't, you know, I had this going back and forth between the county. I'm not sure the request is appropriate, but it's something they need for their records.
Okay, does any council person have a question?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
We're not taking the traffic light. We're not taking authority, right?
Correct. I think from their perspective to say that we know it's there and it's a light and that intersection will be, the traffic's going to be controlled by a light. That's basically what the ordinance says.
Important ordinance.
It's an ordinance.
Yeah, it's an important one.
Yeah.
Okay, anyone else for a comment?
I agree.
Common sense government at its best.
Okay, so what is the consensus? We'd like to.
Let's move it.
Just move it.
Move it up and get it out.
Yeah. Okay, so that was
Mr. Biscotti made a
Mr.
motion.
Biscotti and Mr. De Palma made a second.
Okay. Ms. Brown is absent. Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy is absent. Dais. Mr. Piscitty,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Ms. Walker,
Yes.
President Sobor.
Yes.
We have 7 ayes and 1 absent. Dais.
Now we're going to move it up to first reading.
If that's the pleasure of the
That's what you-
council.
I'll make
I
a
thought
motion.
that's what you, I thought that's what we just did.
Oh.
Isn't that what you just voted on?
Yes. So we just moved it up to first reading. So now you're
Yes.
adopting it on first reading.
Yes.
So it's been introduced. So it'll be up for adoption at the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
That's his protocol. Okay,
Yes.
very good. All right, thank you very much. Okay, next will be report of the township clerk.
I actually do have a report tonight. I
Okay.
apologize.
No.
I just wanted to make a note that the executive order 135 of the governor expired on July 3rd, 2021. This order affected items within the registrar's office for vital statistics, which is mostly marriage licenses. So I just wanted to put some information out. If anybody was looking to get married, that they would know this information to contact our offices. In New Jersey, video marriage ceremonies will no longer be allowed. Virtual marriage application appointments are no longer allowed or offered. The waiver of the 72-hour waiting period between application and license issuance is back in play. So you must have at least 72 hours before your ceremony in which you've applied. And there's the certificate once issued is only valid for 30 days. These are significant changes and return to pre-pandemic regulations. So we're just encouraging anybody who's looking to get married or knows of somebody who's going to get married that they're very aware of these and contact the registrar's office to book their appointments in as far in advance as possible. The registrar's office is also in the clerk's office, so you just be contacting me if you have any questions. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Anyone, any questions for Gabby?
I have a question if it's a little off topic.
Okay.
That's okay. Plaza Grand was a polling location, and I was wondering if you have any indication if it may be open for the general election, or is there a rule that says it can't be?
Our polling locations for the general have not been certified at this time yet. So I don't know the answer to that yet.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else for a question for the clerk? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for a motion to accept her report.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Biscotti, second by Mr. Merwin.
Thank you. Ms. Brown is absent. Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Ms. Walker,
Yes.
President Sohor.
Yes.
We have 8 ayes.
Township Attorney, do we have a report?
Nothing to report, Madam President. Thank you very much.
Okay, administrative report. Mrs. Shapiro?
Thank you, Council President. I do have a report this evening.
You've had many hats tonight.
My report is dated July 13, 2021. Item number 1, the 2021 final 2022 preliminary tax bill mailings will be delayed since the township has not received the tax levy certifications from the state for some of the fire districts. Tax bills will be mailed as soon as permitted, and the due date will be extended accordingly from the date of mailing. The extended grace period will be noted on the new tax bills. For additional information, residents should contact the Division of Tax Collection at 732-721-5600, extension 2999. 2021 Annual Road Resurfacing Program. Old Bridge Township contractor Miko Inc. began the 2021 Annual Road Resurfacing Program with handicap ramp installations on Boulevard East and Boulevard South on Monday, July 12, 2021. Working hours are between 7 a.m. and to 5 p.m. Weekly notifications of upcoming work scheduled will be posted on all township social media feeds. If you have any questions or concern regarding this project, please contact the engineering department at 732-721-5600, extension 2302. 2021 Annual Curb Replacement Program will be advertised for bids on Thursday, July 15, 2021. Bids will be due and publicly opened on Friday, July 30th, 2021 for an anticipated award at the Township's August 10th, 2021 council meeting. Construction is anticipated to begin in early fall 2021. Parks and Recreation is now accepting applicants for Township's before and after care program. The following positions are available: site supervisors, assistant site supervisors, aides, nurses, and paras. Interviews will begin immediately for program start of September 2021. To apply, please visit www.oldbridge.com and click on Employment Opportunities. The Old Bridge Food Bank is holding its annual Christmas in July food drive and fundraiser. From July 1st through July 31st, non-perishable food donations can be dropped off at Friendly's located on Ferry Road during their business hours. Our Christmas in July fundraiser will take place on July 25th from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Friendly's. Come enjoy a meal and some ice cream with 20% of all sales to benefit the Old Bridge Food Bank. Santa Claus, Mickey Mouse, and more will be in attendance. We thank you in advance for your continued support of our food bank. Four new police officers recently took their oath of office on June 30th, 2021. Robert Massa and Robert Jenks came to Old Bridge Police Department from the Middlesex County Sheriff's Office. Nicholas Finelli was a special law enforcement officer, class 2 with the Old Bridge Police Department, and Francis Landai completed his training through the Cape May Police Academy. Phillips Drive sanitary sewer improvements. The Old Bridge Municipal Utilities Authority contractor, Underground Utilities Corp., will begin sanitary sewer improvements along Phillips Drive on or about Thursday, July 22nd, 2021. The work will take approximately 150 calendar days to complete. Detours will be implemented as the work progresses. If you have any questions or concern regarding this project, please contact the Old Bridge Municipal Utilities Authority at 732-566-2534. I just want to add, Council President, Council, that after the sanitary sewer improvements by OBMUA, just know that we have phase 1 and phase 2 improvements that are going to be bid out and awarded sometime in the November time period for Phillips Drive. So the residents are going to see quite a bit of activity on Phillips Drive. So I ask for patience with Old Bridge Municipal Utility Authority's work and as well as the township's work, but we're looking to improve that roadway so it's only beneficial to our residents out there. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Mayor, did you have some comment to make as well?
Yes, thank you, Council President. I was going to try to get through a meeting without saying anything. I was on a good run. But I would be remiss if I didn't thank Nicole for her efforts over the last week plus. We've been very busy, as you all know. with the weather-related issues last week. The town was prepared for the worst. Nicole and the department heads really all stepped up to the plate. The town was ready. And not only being busy as the engineer, but she's also stepped in as the BA over the last week. So I just want to publicly thank you, Nicole, for your efforts and all the efforts of the department heads and the help of the council also for everything that's happened over the last days in the absence of Mr. Shah as he's enjoying his well-deserved vacation. So I just wanted to thank you. That's all I have, Council President, unless anyone has a question for me.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Okay, anyone have a question or a comment on the business administrator report? Okay, seeing no hands, I just want to
Thank you, Nicole.
Oh, okay,
I
Joe.
move it.
Okay, and I just want to add, please remember that Christmas in July event at Friendly's. It's a really nice event. The last one was so well attended and it really gave a big boost to the food bank. So thank you, Anna, Matt, and hopefully we'll see a lot of people there for the Christmas in July. John, did you say you moved the report?
Yes.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Merwin.
Ms. Brown is absent. Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy, Mr. Murphy,
The thing went down again.
absent. Mr. Murphy, we can hear you. Would you like to vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Piscitty,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Ms. Walker,
Yes.
President Sohor.
Yes.
We have 8 ayes.
Okay, thank you very much. Next will be public comment on any subject matter for a maximum of 3 minutes.
I say there's a 3-minute limit on all public comments. In order to make a public comment, please call into our Zoom session. Our call-in number is 929-205-6099. Our Zoom ID is 845-5376-7635, and our passcode is 667416. This is a reminder that our public comment section is not structured as a question and answer format, but is an opportunity for the public to make comments on any items on our agenda or any other matter that they see fit. The Township Clerk will keep time for 3 minutes. Once we call on you, please state your name and address for the record. So first I have Joshua M. Goldberg. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, you can hear me?
Yes, I can. Please state your name and address for the record.
Josh Goldberg, Glenwood Apartments. In the past week or so, I've started to see campaign literature for Mark Rizzoli seeking to be reelected to the Old Bridge Township Council. One of the bullet points on this literature says, quote, "Mark supports public safety," unquote. I wonder, how does Mark Rizzoli reconcile his rhetorical support for public safety with his actual support for just the opposite? Of course, I'm talking about Mark Rizzoli's charity, and I say charity with air quotes, to raise funds for and advocate on behalf of crooked cops, at least one of whom has been caught red-handed on video committing brutal violent assaults. I wonder if the many victims of Mark Rizzoli's charity case would agree that Rizzoli's words and actions actually support public safety. I don't think so. There are so many 100% legitimate cops out there. How is it that Mark Rizzoli looks out at the same world we all live in and doesn't see the police officers who run toward danger to protect others? How is it that Mark Rizzoli looks out at the world and doesn't see the police officers who offer kindness to people in distress? Mark Rizzoli looks out at the world and only sees the worst of the worst and then starts a charity for them. Mark Rizzoli should resign from the Old Bridge Township Council now and save himself the embarrassment of being voted out. After 3 failed campaigns in a row, we've all seen he doesn't handle losing very well. Thank you.
Okay, next I have Matt Morgan. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Matt Morgan, Greenwood Road, and calling to talk about Jake Brown Road today. And I do want to reassure Nicole Shapiro that us Arbors residents are going to be very understanding of the construction. We'll probably welcome it because, quite frankly, the folks in the neighborhood for a very long time have been desperate for anything that will slow down the rampant speeding and traffic that shoots down Phillips Drive. I want to bring up an idea that I brought to the planning board when they considered this redevelopment study. It doesn't seem like it made the cut, but we're looking for any solution, like I said, to this, what should be a very peaceful family street with the school right in the middle, that is instead a public raceway to get between Cottrell Road and Route 9. And it's often used as a shortcut, and I can understand why. It's because GPS tells you to. If you are going to anywhere on Route 34 in Old Bridge or anywhere north of there, you could be as far south as Jackson, and GPS is going to tell you shoot up Route 9, hang it right into the arbors, floor it, and head up to Route 34 through Cottrell. And the way you could solve this is by making Jake Brown Road a legitimate pass through. It's 1/10 of a mile shorter, and GPS would take you that way. But as I see in the plan here, I think it was discussed at the three-way intersection with Spring Hill and Cottrell. It's too complicated to reorient there. There's plenty of room on real estate on that map that went right up to Cottrell. You could reroute Jake Brown without squeezing in between two houses. You could even buy the land right at the intersection of Spring Hill and Jake Brown. That house is actually for sale right now, 7 Spring Hill. And I've read through the town's history. It wouldn't be the first time we bought land to improve an intersection. But what I see in the plan now, I'm seeing for the first time, is this bike lane and greenway, which I love the idea of. We could use lots more of those throughout town. But it was referred to as a corridor for public transit and people going to work through there. I'm just having a hard time imagining it because I don't know who lives on the other end of that. It's like 10 houses on Cottrell Road, and I don't know that they work on a place that takes them up the bus to get to New York City. There's really no one at the other end of Jake Brown who's going to be going back and forth along this greenway because it's not really accessible there. If you're not going to build housing, you're not going to knock down the Cottrell farm across the road and put up apartments there that people would take that greenway. So it just didn't seem like, I love greenways, but it didn't seem like an appropriate use of Jake Brown when it could be resolving a big problem for the Arbors community. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you for your time.
Council President, at this time, I do not have any other further raised hand.
I'll move to close public portion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved by Mr. De Palma, second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Ms. Brown is absent. Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy is absent. Dais. Mr. Piscitty,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yeah.
Ms. Walker,
Yes.
President Sohor.
Yes.
We have 7 to close public comment.
Okay. Next, we'll move on to council member comments.
Ms. Brown is absent. Mr. De Palma, do you have any council comments?
Yes, just real quick. I know there is, I've seen on social media a lot of talk about if and when, or if the before and after care program is coming back. We have all decided that it will be coming back. They are looking, as Mrs. Shapiro talked about, for employees for that. So I encourage everyone to look on the township's website at the programs that will be out there for the fall. And anyone else that would like to work in the before and after care, please look onto that site as well for an application to get in. I also just wanted to give kudos to Matt and the whole recreation department with some of the summer programs. My oldest daughter is in the cake decorating class on Monday. She's having a great time. I just wanted to make sure that we highlighted them. They are doing a wonderful job this year. I know it is a little bit different than in the past, but they did what they could with the constraints that they had when they had to make the decision. So I just wanted to make sure that we highlighted Matt. And Nicole, excellent job. and filling in for Himanshu. Your administrative report was a lot better than any of his. So I'd like to thank you for that. Other than that, though, just welcome the officers again. Congratulations on coming on. And like I said before, very, very much looking forward to working with all of you.
Thank you.
Dr. Greenberg Belli, do you have any comments?
Just hope everyone's enjoying their summer and be safe.
Thank you. Mr. Merwin?
Yes, I have two matters. Today, out earlier, I was taking pictures of the beachfront in Lawrence Harbor near the police substation. I had advised of this about a year ago, but it's only gotten worse. So I've sent an email to the mayor, to the county, to the MUA, to Nicole, to the lawyers. Right? We have the potential for an environmental catastrophe at that location. There is a force main that runs underneath the beach there that carries most or nearly all of Old Bridge's raw sewage and takes it up to the county processing plant. This is no fault of the MUA. This is fault of Mother Nature. It is taking the beachfront that buried the sewer pipe and it just taking it out to sea at an alarming rate. It's at least down 12 feet. So I've addressed it. Everybody knows about it. Please come up with a plan to address it, and so we can avoid this potential problem there.
Maybe I could help with that, Dave. That the superintendent for the sewers system, they investigate it. They do their due diligence on a regular basis. Also, there will be a report from our consulting engineer. So, we always supervise it. Luckily, during Sandy, nothing happened, and the area is always under surveillance. So that I just want people to feel safe with that.
Well, it's gotten worse from the last time they've been out there. So I did address it with the MUA. So I know they're aware of it and they're on top of it. But we're the landowners. Old Bridge owns it. We lease it to the county. So everybody's got responsibilities. So we have to do something with, and it's part of a Superfund site. So it's no joy there. It's not a picnic. So we need to really address it. If you want, I'll send you the pictures. But it's a mess out there, and we need to have that taken care of. And I'm glad you were on top of that. Thank you, Ms. Greenberg. Bye-bye. My other one is we, the council, recently received an email in reference to hazardous duty pay for essential employees. To me, this raised a few issues here when I went and checked into it, is why we have not addressed the issue of considering rewarding those that did go above and beyond the call of duty. Our police department, our road department, our rec department. And I'm sure that there was a lot of other ones there that came in during the pandemic. And then we had a lot that stayed home, so they're not entitled to it. But we're able to, from the money that we got from the government, we're able to reward those that went above and beyond. And, we like to pat them on the back when we claim that we're the 16th safest community in the country. And, maybe it's time we put up or shut up, and it's time we back these guys and give them a stipend for the work that they did during the COVID emergency. My other problem with that whole thing is, what did we get, $6 million? You got Trenton got I think it was 60 or $90 million. It was obscene, but it's all based upon the CDBG money. And that's a shame. But I think this council should consider rewarding those that that worked hard and came in and did the right thing during the COVID. Matter of fact, I mean, we lost a police officer's life to the COVID. We had multiple other ones contract the COVID. And we talk about it. I think it's time we put our arms around the shoulder and show them, hey, we're with you. So my proposal is that we come up with some kind of plan to reward those that come in. I don't think the numbers are that high. Nobody says we have to give what Trenton gave at $7,000, but we surely could come up with some kind of stipend. And that's all I have on that. And just for the public, remember, August 14th, Saltwater Day. We're going to have the fireworks. We're going to have the music. We're going to have the beer garden. It's going to be a great day. Come on out of your hibernation there and come on down to the Lawrence Harbor beachfront. We have shuttle service running all day. As a matter of fact, I'm going to talk to the mayor. Maybe we'll expand it to bring people. They can come to the municipal complex maybe and come down that way, so that the western end of town gets to enjoy this and maybe really get to see the waterfront for the first time and know what a jewel they have down there. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes, I just want to thank Vina and Nicole for their participation tonight, and that's about all I have to say.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Piscitty?
No comment tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes, thank you. I just want to say, meeting after meeting, I have tolerated this Josh Goldberg, who slanders myself and my family on social media. He continues to call in with his outrageous allegations that he's unable to provide any evidence for. There was an article written about me on NJ.com from an anonymous source about a charity I was involved in. Well, maybe possibly he's the anonymous source. You see, obviously, due to political reasons, he's an Old Bridge member of their Democratic County Committee. And I find it disturbing that all of a sudden we hear Democrats this evening who want to back public safety when meeting after meeting after meeting, people like Josh Goldberg and other allies of their candidates were calling our police department racist, defund the police. And now we hear all kinds of things that they back public safety because their narrative isn't working nationwide and locally. So before you continue to slander myself and my family, produce the evidence to the Old Bridge residents. Get your candidates on a debate stage and let's start producing some of these documents and this evidence. But it's meeting after meeting, people like Josh Goldberg, all they offer are high taxes and slander. High taxes and slander, defund the police, needle exchanges. That's what they want to bring to the Old Bridge community. They don't want people like me on this council because I stand up for the residents and our police department. All of a sudden now, their identity politics and the defund the police narrative is failing. Josh Goldberg, bring your evidence, other than defaming myself and my family. You're the true coward. I'm a decorated detective. I've arrested people you would hide under your bed with. I'm so sick and tired of constantly slandering myself and my family. Produce the evidence. This is how they want to win an election: slander, high taxes. Now they want to be allies of public safety. Please go back to any meeting, review the video. Meeting after meeting, our police department's racist. They're involved in racial profiling. This is all about winning elections and identity politics. Bring your evidence, then we'll talk. Thank you.
Ms. Walker?
No comments, thank you.
And President Sobor?
No comments. Thank you very much. Okay, next I'll take a motion to adjourn
I move it.
Second,
by Mr. De Palma, second by Dr. Greenberg.
Ms. Brown is absent. Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
yes.
President Sobor?
Yes.
We have 8 to adjourn.
Okay, thank you. Everyone have a good evening.
Night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.